What's going on, everyone? Okay, so y'all like the thumbnail? Shout out to the cast if you're watching, okay, and everybody involved in making the film. And the reason I wanted to create that thumbnail, obviously there's some AI use in there, but easier for me to do that. The reason I wanted to create that thumbnail was because one of the things that I noticed of the movie, I don't see too many people talking about it, but I do see some people talking about the medicines itself, and in this case, the ayahuasca medicine. Um, and some people are talking about it and how some certain corporate people uh, are going for ayahuasca because they want to do better in their business versus doing better as a human being. But either way, the nature itself, anyone who is familiar and has that connection with nature knows that nature has its own way of elevating people to do right in whatever it is that they are involved in, whether it's a project, whether it's a film, whether it's writing a business, or whether it's just educating and bringing awareness to people. And the reason I made the image, or I generated that image with the cannabis and the tobacco leaf and the cup of ayahuasca is because many the whole gist of what happened within the movie of the body swap, or the life swap better said, happened within Seth Rogen's character and his session of ayahuasca, which I believe was one night. All right, while his character was in commune, and I would say better, yeah, in communication with the nature and its spirit and the spirits. And it also happened within Arge's or Arasari's. That's how we say it, right? Arasari. Is that his name? Did I say his name right? I'm sorry. Let me look up Ansari, and then Ansari's character Arj. Um, a moment where he was feeling down, um, basically very tired after donating plasma and sleep, and then that's when Gabriel Keanu steps in. Um, and of course, shout out to everyone else as well, Kiki, Sandra. So, anyways, I saw the different videos you guys did as well, with a sitting around the table and having a good conversation. That's very good. Now, I want to highlight several things. While some people might feel that the movie could use some more sustenance because there's a lot of other things that people tend to battle with when it comes to the ongoing ons of economic growth and the evolution of, of economies and how we treat money, what we know money is. I have mentioned in my previous videos that if you are studying, you would realize that everything is made up, so therefore you can make it up. Tribes and communities still make their own currencies, and up every all money is credit, and essentially, they even companies have internal credit private ledger systems, which can then be transferred into different currencies, fiat, etc. So all of this falls within the global guide guiding laws of commerce, banking, finance, etc. Okay, everything is pretty much business. What we see as nations, it's all business. Okay, so anyways, so not only did the movie did a good decent job within an hour and 30 something minutes to portray the up and downs of those who are, especially those who are doing deliveries or the gig economy, and the inconveniences that they run into. I remember running into those inconveniences, hence why I left and I have returned back to nature. And I still do my little gigs here and there, but oh my God, it is so much easier to handle everything just being with nature. And every time it's time for me to go knock out, I go right out to nature, find a nice spot. Me and Rosie, my doggo, and service dog, and best friend and guide, and we just knock out, and I'm able to do all the amount of things I'm able to do, including studies, including raising awareness, including video like this. So that movie did a very good job in being able to bring in as little in as much time in the allotted time of an hour and 30 something minutes, all the up and downs, the lights and the shadows of the gig economy and what people look at as classes of wealth. Okay. And in my videos, I've talked about wealth. What is wealth? What is true wealth? What is the essence of financial wealth? Where does it come from? Again, going back to the concept that naturally everyone is already wealthy. Naturally, earth is abundant. You have infinite value. That infinite value gets transferred into these units that I call ICUs, because I see you all for your infinite credit, your infinite value. Life sees you all for your infinite value. And these credits get transferred into currencies, dollars, fiats, etc. Okay, ledger systems, banking. So, wealth, true wealth, is with nature. Okay, and true wealth is in how we treat each other. True wealth is also in what are we, our actions. It's reflective upon our actions. What are we doing individually and collectively to help elevate our life, our lifestyles, our communities, our economies? Okay, what are we doing? Okay, and part of that, as I have mentioned in my previous videos, is having a strong connection and comprehending how to be or utilize the medicines, the healing plants and foods that nature offers. I give the example of tobacco. Okay. It was funny how Keanu Reeves, his character, and Jeff, the Seth Rogen character, Jeff, goes up and says, "You're smoking." And then Keanu is like, "Leave me alone, Jeff. It's all I like it. It's all I have." And it was pretty funny, right? Because there are people who have a crazy addiction where they cannot function or they have trouble, or in this case, some have not learned how to not inhale. Okay. But nonetheless, everything in balance, it does not take away the credit and the value that nature and all its plant medicines are. And this is why I also want to say that I think it's very wise, and I have mentioned it in one of the, in, I think, 3 videos where the cast was talking with each other and having a great combo. I think Kiki was drinking tea. Kudos. Seth had even mentioned cannabis. Kudos to that. So I think it's very wise to have included that. Oh, there was also the. Oh, I should have put the artwork with the mushroom as well. I should have put that in there as well. Damn it, I didn't do it. Oh, whatever. Either way, these plants, medicines, for anyone who knows how to use them in balance, all right, and not as a way of escape, but more as a way to elevate your consciousness, elevate your workflow, what you're doing, what you value, how you live your life. Those who use and understand these medicines that nature provides understand why it is a wise, would agree that it was definitely wise to show within the movie an ayahuasca ceremony. It was definitely wise in its own way to show tobacco. And no, the movie did not mention, I don't think the movie mentioned cannabis. Um, it did have the mushroom chocolates there. So that was a pretty good mention. But this is interesting too, because many spiritual people who are spiritually connected and spiritually developing themselves, we're not talking religion, we're talking about all around spirituality connected with nature, each other, who hold themselves to the high standard of being a better human being in everything that they do and how they treat others and how they treat life and how they treat themselves. People who are on this path, we have been speaking about the importance of these medicines for a while. Why? Because many of us, we also know what our ancestral lineage is. We're all connected through ancestral lineage, and all our ancestors, for the most part, have and still have this connection a spiritual connection with the plant foods, the plant medicines that nature provides. Okay, they have this communion, they have this communication with nature and the animals, who, mind you, I remind all of us, they are our friends and our kin. They are not food. Okay, I do get that sometimes people eat unfertilized egg and scale fishes, no bottom feeder stuff, but scale fishes. I get that, but I definitely have noticed a plant-based diet is way more optimum in as far as health and as far as feeling great. So, anyways, going back to it. So those who have this spiritual connection to nature's plants and medicines, they understand why such a small, what would look like a small detail in that movie is so important. The movie also goes through other let's see, other themes. One of the themes is yes, I think it was very wise when the sushi scene, Arj having been switched to the life of the character Jeff and meeting with the friend David, the business partner, the scene where they're having eating sushi and it is a business expense. That was also very wise to include in there. Okay. That's one of those key takeaways of that movie as well. Aside from the plant medicines, the key takeaway there also was mentioning, hey, business meal, business expense. And then Arch, the character, says, well, yeah, why would we pay it? Exactly. That circles back into a lot of the previous videos I have been talking about, where I mentioned the same thing I just mentioned a few minutes ago, that everyone is essentially their own bank. Everyone essentially has infinite credit because essentially all of these things that deal with finance and banking and economies, the fantasy called economies, and how we shape them, they're all made up. It's all created as a unit of measurement, okay? But obviously, you can't really measure something that is infinite in its value, all right? Especially when it comes to creativity. Hence why in the mega project that we are leading and that I am leading with other people, one of the aspects of the mega project is not only self-sustainability and connection with nature, but there's also combat sports. There's also transmutation of sacred sexual energy. I've mentioned that in my previous videos as well. So, the business expense, that is very wise. When they mentioned that in the movie, that was very wise because most people still don't understand that it's a business expense. Most people don't understand that that house that, for example, wouldn't consider that the house that the character Jeff has is the house of the business because that's where he conducts his business. If you guys remember, anyone who has watched the movie, towards the end of the movie, we see Jeff, after having returned from his ayahuasca ceremony, not only did he help Arj pay off the parking ticket, he also went ahead and had a meeting. Arj also started to pursue his thing better, more, and he left those jobs and started to believe in himself and take the leap of faith and started working towards it. And a lot of people followed in his footsteps, right? So you see that a lot happening in today's world. People are taking a leap of faith and they're learning about these things, what finance is, what commerce is, the laws of trust, like in trust law, for example, like having a trust, or a dynasty trust, a legacy trust, etc. So many of these things. We're understanding these things, but we're also comprehending that these things are created. So if there are other complications attached to these things, why not make it much more simpler? So again, I was able to remember all of these, and anyone who actually is studying would see why, again, that scene with the sushi and mentioning that it's a business expense was one of the wise scenes in there as well. Now, another wise scene is, let's see, there was Sandra Oh when she saw Gabriel and having lived his human experience, and she says, I've seen it all. And then she, with a very understanding, compassionate tone, just says, I have hope. I believe, basically telling him he believes in him. She believes in him. And then you have the loving relationship, the pure loving relationship of that Keanu admits that what was Keanu's character Gabriel mentions to Arj. Okay, that family like love, that agape like love. I love this. I love us laughing. That's one of the things that Gabriel mentioned towards the end of the movie when he was about to return back to being an angel after helping Arch discover that he can have hope for his life and Arj realized that he can definitely work towards his dreams, and therefore fixing the entire thing. And so that's also very important to note. So I think those are the main takeaways that I saw. All right. And if I were to summarize all these main takeaways, I would say the main takeaways are compassion. The main takeaways are connection with nature, understanding and comprehending how to how to utilize the medicines and the foods that nature give us, how to be self-sustaining. One thing that some people might say is that, well, they did show that, and that was good with the business, saying the business expands, for example, but they could have also mentioned gardening. you know they could have mentioned there's gardening, there's farming, self-sustainability. And again, this was a movie and they did their best to include everything that they could based on what they were seeing is going on. Yes, there are people in Los Angeles who are planting their own gardens. Yes, there are people all over the world who are planting their own gardens. Yes, there are people all over the world who have had it with the over complexities of the way the economy has been, and those economies are not only evolving, but the people are evolving in their wisdom, in their actions, and what they are doing individually and collectively. So overall, that movie, I'm definitely giving it a full 10 stars, all right, because that was really very well done, all right, to the best of its ability. And I see every aspect in there. And man, yeah, some stuff was very funny too. Oh my God, the girl when she was like, "I'm gonna sit on his face," that was so funny. Oh my God! And then they mentioned role play. It's like very good, very good. So yeah, all right. I definitely recommend y'all go watch that movie. It was very good, and kudos to the entire cast for making that. Oh look, it's a Lucid car. It looks nice. You know what looks nicer? The one that I create. Yeah. So, anyways, y'all, definitely go watch that. Okay. Like I said, the thumbnail, I definitely wanted the thumbnail to represent everything that I saw within the movie, and the essence of where all those things that were presented in the movie, where it drew me back into, because I related to that movie, and many of us can relate to the movie of the character. And there are some of us that we still do our gigs, but we live back with nature. And if you want to find out if you can or can't, you just simply need to understand public trust doctrine. You just need to simply understand who and what we all are, okay, and what everything else is. All right. I actually had to talk with somebody last night, and I got a little upset because I'm like, you confuse legal commerce with lawful divine law. Lawful divine law is that the land belongs to nobody. Lawful divine law is that we are all stewards of the earth. Lawful divine law is that we are all abundant. Lawful divine law is that nature is our friend, nature's creatures, the animals are friends. Lawful divine law and truth is that we are not separate from nature. We're not separate from the plants. We're not separate from the herbs, the medicines, the trees, the plants, the greens, the different vegetation, the food, the animals. We're not separate. Okay, we're not separate from each other. That's divine law. And also divine law for those who think, well, there was a phrase that the David H character, I said, oh, well, we can't all live the good life. And some people think, oh, well, that's true. Actually, no, that's not true, because your idea of a good life may not be the same as my idea of a good life, or what you may want to experience at a certain time in your life or a certain moment in your life may not be what I want to experience at a certain moment in my life. Right now, for example, I experience total, unrelentless, and undying peace. I still have my workflow and I still have the up and downs of the workflow, but other than that, I have a peace that seems to draw attention of a lot of people. They come and talk to me, and some of them who I think they think they're spiritually awake, but still dealing with their own prejudices. Yeah, I gotta watch out with those people. But they get attracted, all right. And then there's the fame that is coming. Hey, it's that guy. Well, everyone knows that guy. That guy's really cool. That guy's really wise. Blah blah blah. So I have this unrelentless peace. I have this unrelentless at ease that allows me to do all these things that I'm able to do, including this video. All right, and that's wealth. That's success. That's one of the many successes that I have, that I am also still maintaining, and that is a good life to me. And not only that, there are those farming, making your own food, self-sustainability. That's a good life. People like to say, "Oh, The Simpsons is predicting the future." Well, guess what? Actually, Ghibli predicted the future pretty darn well, because there's a lot of people returning to self-sustainability, having their own farms, okay, learning to make their own electricity from the ground. So things are coming out. So all that other stuff, is just people locked in fear, organizations or agencies locked in fear, and we're past that. We're way, way past that. As I told this other guy I spoke with last night, when I told him, don't confuse legal commerce with lawful divinity and divine law and truth. As I told him, with people who just don't get it, my catchphrase is keep up or shut up. Because if you can't elevate, then don't try to desecrate. And I just made that last part up right now. So keep up or shut up. Let love guide y'all. Y'all go watch that movie. Kudos to everybody who made that movie. Peace.